All right, so today we've got Colin DeWolf and Barrett Donovan, and we are some gym owners that have gotten together. We met through the 100% Raw Federation, and when our doors were forced closed by the Alberta government, we got together, connected with each other, saying, how can we help each other? How can we support each other through this? And what are you doing right now? So we've got Colin, who is the owner of Back Alley Fitness in Medicine Hat. And we've got Barrett, who is the owner of Next Evolution Athletics in Calgary. And so we're going to go through a roundtable, and I'm going to ask some questions that I've been curious about, and we'll let them expand a little bit more from here. So the first one I kind of answered for them, but if they want to expand on it, they sure can. And we'll start with Colin. Colin, so who are you? Where are you located? And what is the name of the space you work out of?
All right. Well, obviously, you know who I am now. We're located in Medicine Hat, and our facility is Back Alley Fitness. We technically have a secondary location in Redcliffe, which is just outside Medicine Hat, but that would be our two locations that we have.
Awesome. Thank you. Barrett.
Well, we know who I am, obviously. I am the owner of Next Evolution Athletics in Calgary, and I contract out of Trek Fit Lab in Ranchlands in the Northwest.
Awesome. All right. So why are you in the fitness industry, and what drove you to this world of fitness and educating people?
For myself, I once upon a time hired a strength coach to make me better at sport. That would be Barrett. And throughout that process, I realized that I as well would be suited to be a strength coach of some sort. And then I got into it through that, basically, is how my journey started.
Awesome. So what led you to hiring Barrett as your strength coach? What were you doing?
I was doing kickboxing, and I wanted to smash other people really well. Yeah, that was my motivation behind that, is kind of getting back in. I was a little bit older when I decided to do that. So I wanted to do it right. So I think we started that journey when I was like 26, 27, which as a fighter is oldish. It's starting to get old.
Middle to late end of your career, really.
Yeah, really. Yeah. So, and then I retired at around 30. So
short career too.
Yeah. Well, it's
well,
rough.
You did pretty good, I guess.
Yeah, on a few things. So.
All right, Barrett, why are you in this industry? And apparently you've been educating for a very long time.
Yeah, I've been around the block. I'm an old dog in the field. Man, how do I explain getting into it? I grew up in the middle of nowhere, New Brunswick, and I kind of fell into it by accident because when I was playing hockey, I just started working out when I turned 16 because there's nothing better to do in New Brunswick a lot of the time, and it just improved my hockey. And the better at strength training and learning how to do things better, and it was just basic bodybuilding stuff, the better I got at hockey. And the more training I did, the better I got at hockey. And I got an offer to play in AAA in my second year Pee Wee, and we couldn't do it because it was such a commitment to my family, and it was such a hard thing for them to do that it was almost impossible with the money and the driving and the commitment to it. But I only got that offer simply because I was stronger than most of the other guys there. And then flash forward a few years, go to university, study kinesiology, graduate, not sure what I'm going to do. Go to Japan, come back, move to Calgary to become a cop. I take this job at a gym in Calgary because I realized it's actually a job that you can actually do there. And at the time in New Brunswick, maybe there was like 6 full-time trainers in Atlantic Canada. Like it wasn't a big field, but in Calgary at the time it was. So as I was going through the police force, I took that job, and then I realized that you can actually make a career of that. And that was 13 years ago. Yeah, 13 years ago, and I haven't looked back since. So that's kind of how I got into it.
Cool. That's awesome. I love hearing everybody's stories on how they like found their way into where they love to be now. So it's really interesting that way. All right, so Colin, what is your wheelhouse? You know, the thing that you coach or teach the very best, and you have a super solid understanding of something that you like. If you were told it was the only thing you could share for the rest of your life, that's what you would do.
I like to focus on strength training specifically. I started a powerlifting team here in Medicine Hat, and they've done quite well throughout the process.
Yeah.
I've invested a lot of education in that regard, done a bunch of seminars with a lot of big names in the field. That's been kind of a passion of mine, right? And that's what I found myself moving into when I retired from fighting, because like as an athlete, you got to do something or you do nothing, right? So that's what I transitioned into, and it's something that people can do long term, which is why I think I like it. There's not a time cap on it. Like as a fighter, you have a time cap, and then you just cannot sustain doing that any farther. So for me, that's what I got into. That's what I have a passion for. And I like to say I'm decent at coaching. So.
Cool. Yeah, you're okay.
Yeah.
All right, Barrett, you're up. What's your wheelhouse?
I'm strength coach, man. Like I just like to pick up heavy shit. So, you know, it's again, we're all in the same powerlifting federation, so we all have the specialty of powerlifting. But probably one of my bigger wheelhouses is most people don't realize is actually field sport development. Like I do a lot of work with a lot of field sport athletes and lacrosse, field hockey, rugby, a lot of sports like that. So that's one of the things I really, really enjoy doing. It's kind of fun. Don't get me wrong, I love powerlifting. I mean, heavy stuff is awesome, but that's probably one of the other wheelhouses I'm starting to get known for, I think.
Yeah, like that spatial problem solving, large playing field. Where do you need to be? Well, even though you're not there yet, that type of stuff. Or
More in the sense of field sports are interesting because the way people train for them, it's definitely kind of interesting because I kind of break it up into three components for it. And like you have like your on the field training, like your sport practice, and then you have like your in the gym training, which is like developing strength and power in the major lifts and the rest of your body, working on your weak areas. But there's a gray area that needs to be covered, and it's usually through what I like to use, like modified strongman training, like picking up odd objects, carrying odd objects, dragging things, pushing things, that I find covers the gray area really well.
Yep.
So teams like rugby do really well at that, where they have the gym time where they're training there, then they come and do like modified strongman, like picking up stones, and then doing like field training. But understanding that athletics doesn't happen in a vacuum. So if you're trying to, unless you're doing something like powerlifting, where it's like this is the only movement you must do, then you're done and go to the next thing. You have to have the ability to perform high intensity movements, full body movement when you're fresh, tired, and half dead.
Yep.
And you have to have the ability to repeat that effort over and over and over, depending on the sport. So if you understand that sports doesn't happen in a vacuum, and understand that gym is one part, the field is one part, but you have to understand that middle gray area, it makes a huge difference. And it's shown for all the field athletes that I've had to work with so far that they're all doing this on their field. Yeah. So
awesome. All right. So what types of things when it comes to coaching do you try to avoid? It could be a particular sport, school of thought, or even a type of training method or training style that we see out there.
For myself, I try not to adhere too strictly to any one school of thought.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you box yourself into a corner, it becomes very hard to get out of that corner, right? And that's something that's very common in the industry, where you have people that stake their entire careers on one aspect of one thing rather than looking at the whole big picture, right? So even like with powerlifting, I don't just like, I know powerlifting coaches that it is just the 3 lift is pretty much all they do. And I'm like, yeah, no, you need to have other components in place to deal with that, right? So even within that wheelhouse, like it is, yes, you only have 3 things you need to perform, but there's alternate ways to achieve that goal of performing well in there. So that's one, I think the killer of a lot of things for people is they back themselves into a corner that way, right? Like there's a multifaceted approach to almost any problem that is probably going to get you a more well-rounded result that'll last longer, in my opinion.
No, I support that opinion. Barrett?
It's roughly the same. Like I find I try not to lock myself in, and I found earlier in my career that I did, and it really limited my ability to see outside the box, and it really limited my development overall, because there's so many different ways to get stronger. For example, like I've done the traditional method, I've done linear periodization, I've done conjugate method, I've done undulating periodization. You name it. It's all about, but I keep telling people it's the combination of art and science. So once you understand the foundation, the science of it, and how it kind of breaks down, how you apply it as a coach is the true art form of what you're going to do. And that's what people like don't quite understand, I think, is they think, oh, I got a trainer, he got his certification on the weekend course like 2 weeks ago, he's good to go. And I was like that's great if it works, but pretty much everyone in this little forum right now has forgotten more than most of those people will ever learn. Like just from our backgrounds, like I've been exposed to some of the best coaching in North America with Tampa Bay Lightning strength conditioning coach, powerlifting coaches, strength coaches, and I've been very fortunate to have that. And I've worked with a lot of those guys, and it's been super helpful because seeing all those different styles allows you to look at things differently.
Yeah.
And I find when you get locked into one specific style, I think that's what I try and avoid the most. Whereas earlier in my career, I would prescribe to that style, and that's what I did.
Yeah, and to that, what works for one person won't work for the next person. So you have to find the thing that works for each individual. It might be a slight variance, but it's required for you to have that flexibility and that knowledge to be able to make those changes too, be it age, lifestyle, physiology, whatever the case may be.
Absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. Well, that is, I have one more, sorry. So list 2 character traits that you believe to be valuable for everyone to strengthen, build, and share throughout their life.
I think as it pertains to life and training, resilience of not only mind, but body, as well as patience. I think patience is something that a lot of people overlook. They're far too eager to go after things, and they end up hurting themselves and a lot of times, or getting astray, or it's not working, and they abandon shit way too early. And sometimes you need to stay the course a little bit longer to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's a monster one. Like patience, I think, goes hand in hand, especially in the strength field. Like how many times in the strength world has someone been stuck on a PR for 3 or 4 months?
3 years.
I've been there.
Yeah. Like seriously, like patience is one of the most crucial things I recommend everyone, and probably open-mindedness. I found I get a lot of athletes that come in with a very like, this is how I train. It's like, well, that's how you've been training, but it's not working for you. So now you have to try something different. And they're so resistant to change that they kind of almost lock themselves into that little box where they can't get ahead. Say for powerlifters are a great example. They think if they do any more than 3 reps, they're going to get weaker. Well, there's periods of times in a block where you have to do higher reps just to give your joints a break, and B, build a capacity up. You're not fit enough to be strong. Like you're not going to get stronger. You have to have that ability to move multiple repetitions over a period of time, and then back up into the heavy stuff. You got to build that muscle mass. You can't just hammer. And I find those 2, like patience and I would say open-mindedness.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you very much, you guys. Appreciate it. And we will probably go into more detailed private one-on-one interviews as time progresses as well. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
No problem. That was fun.
Yeah.